global news updates on top Accolade News. The headlines: El Salvador lawmakers approve indefinite presidential re-election. Trump signs executive order raising tariff on dozens of nations. Hungary plans job protection measures. U.S. imposes sanctions on Palestinian Authority. We'll start today with a focus in politics. El Salvador lawmakers approve indefinite presidential re-election. El Salvador's Legislative Assembly, dominated by President Nayib Bukele's New Idea Party, has launched sweeping constitutional changes that allows indefinite presidential re-election and extend presidential terms from 5 to 6 years. Passed with a supermajority vote, the reforms also eliminate second-round runoffs and could let Bukele seek a longer term 2 years earlier than expected. Critics warn the move undermines democracy, while supporters claim it gives power back to the people. Bukele, already re-elected despite a prior constitutional ban, remains highly popular for his crackdown on gangs, though human rights groups have raised alarms over growing authoritarianism and political repression. Shifting focus to economy, Trump signs executive order raising tariff on dozens of nations. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order adjusting reciprocal tariff rates on imports from dozens of countries, intensifying pressure ahead of his trade deal deadline. The White House said the move targets persistent trade deficits and aims to secure fair reciprocal trade terms. While some countries face moderate increases between 15% to 30%, others like Syria, Switzerland, and Guyana face steep hike of up to 41%. A separate order raises tariff from Canada from 25% to 35%. The changes, which take effect August 7th, give room for last-minute negotiations as the U.S. pushes for new bilateral agreements. Still in economy, Hungary plans job protection measures. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán says the government will draft emergency plans to protect jobs and prevent factory closures following the new U.S. EU trade deal that introduces a 15% tariff on EU exports, including key auto shipments. Speaking on national radio, Orbán warned the deal, sharply increasing tariff from 2.5%, would threaten Hungary's $11 billion annual export to the U.S. and worsen the country's already sluggish economy. With national elections looming, Orbán criticized EU leadership for poor negotiations and pledged rapid support for affected workers and industries as regional neighbors also brace for economic setback from the tariffs. Moving to international relations, U.S. imposes sanctions on Palestinian Authority. The United States has announced sanctions on both the Palestinian Authority and the Palestine Liberation Organization, barring their officials from obtaining U.S. visas in response to recent global support from Palestinian statehood. The move follows a UN conference led by France and Saudi Arabia, where the UK and Canada committed to recognizing a demilitarization of Palestinian states. The State Department accused the PA and PLO of internationalizing the conflict, though the ICC and ICJ and supporting terrorism. Critics call the sanction political retaliation, while Israel welcomed the move as a stand against terror glorification. The decision underscores deepening U.S. isolation on the world stage over its stance on the Gaza conflict. You're watching the Global News Update on Top Accolade News. Do stay with us. Still to come. Thanks for staying with us. Still in international relations, Germany considers recognizing Palestinian states. Germany may fast-track recognition of a Palestinian state if Israel proceeds with plans to annex the West Bank, according to the foreign minister. Speaking ahead of his 2-day visit to Israel and the Palestinian territories, he reaffirmed Berlin's commitment to a two-state solution, but one that annexation could end that possibility. Chancellor Friedrich Merz also urged Israel to address Gaza's worsening humanitarian crisis hinting at further German action if conditions don't improve. Meanwhile, EU countries are weighing suspension of the trade pact with Israel as pressure mounts across Europe over Israel's handling of the conflict. Moving on in international relations, Iran accused of abusing and deporting Afghans. Iran is facing international scrutiny over widespread deportation and alleged mistreatment of Afghan refugees, many of whom say they were beaten and falsely accused of spying for Israel. As tension escalated following Israel's attack on Iranian military sites in June, Tehran wrapped up expulsion, picking at 50,000 returns a day, claiming national security concerns. Refugees said they were detained, assaulted, and stripped of documents and money before being forced back into Afghanistan. Experts says Iran is using Afghan as scapegoats amid growing domestic pressure, fueling anti-Afghan sentiment online and in state media, even as right groups warn Afghanistan lacks the capacity to support the surge in returnees. Moving to entertainment, Justin Timberlake reveals Lyme disease battle. Pop icon Justin Timberlake has revealed he's battling Lyme disease, sharing the diagnosis on Instagram after wrapping up his Forget Tomorrow world tour in Turkey. The 44-year-old singer said he endured intense fatigue and nerve pain while performing, but pushed through out of love for the stage. Timberlake, who has faced recent public scrutiny and legal troubles, said he chose to go public to raise awareness and be more transparent about his struggles. Lyme disease caused by tick bites can cause long-term symptoms even after treatment. Timberlake joins other stars like Justin Bieber in disclosing their fights with the condition. Now in sports, Rees-Zammit quits NFL. Welsh speed star Rees-Zammit has announced his return to rugby union after ending his brief stint in American football. The 24-year-old winger joined the NFL's Kansas City Chiefs through the international player pathway and later signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars, but never made a regular season appearance. Rees-Zammit, who earned 22 caps and 14 tries for Wales, says now is the right time to return back to his roots, calling the switch back to rugby "doing what I do best." He promised fans more updates soon as he prepares for a new chapter in the sport where he made his name. That concludes our global news update for today. Stay tuned for more global news and developments. Thanks for joining us. I am Ojorome Okocha. Connect and engage with us on all our social media handles. Do have a wonderful day.